When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can build, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who can lead properly, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace. Vote for love. Vote for hope. Vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace. Vote for love. Vote for hope. Vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace. Vote for love. Vote for hope. Vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace. Vote for love. Vote for hope. Vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can restore hope, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who lead with love, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Vote for peace. Vote for love. Vote for hope. Vote for change. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend.
Do you know that in 2016, 66 liters of diesel cost $100? Today, under the PNM, you get 20 liters of diesel for $100. The diesel you paid $100 for under the UNC now costs $327 under the PNM, which directly affects the cost of food, transport, and services. Guess who I'm voting for next time? Welcome to the Leader of the Opposition Town Hall. Please stand for the national anthem and prayer.
Forged from the love of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare, side by side we stand, highlands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land, we pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Almighty God, most beneficial and merciful, Creator of the universe and embodiment of divine wisdom and light, we come before you with thanksgiving and praise. May your will be done in our nation as it is in the heavens. Please bless our political leader, party officials, activists, and all the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Give us the grace to always see good, be good, and do good, and the courage to serve the people. Protect us as we stand against injustice and iniquity, and inspire our endeavors to find the right solutions to the problems that are affecting our fellow citizens. Grant that we may always work together with humility and respect for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of our country.
When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins, Trinbago, everybody wins.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to St. Joseph. Can I have a round of applause? We're in St. Joseph, guys. The place they call Jose de Oruna, established as our first capital, and how fitting it is that we are here to discuss critical issues as it relates to our nation and our nation's future. Today, I want to thank everyone who is present. I want to thank all of the citizens who have joined us here in the halls of La Jolla, as well as those who are viewing on social media and various lives. I want to give a special warm welcome to everyone who is here in terms of the media. I want to say a special welcome to all of our UNC candidates. Let's hear a round of applause for them. They are all here to represent you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And through their hard work and dedication, we are going to take Trinidad and Tobago back from the People's National Movement, and we are going to return democracy, sober leadership, and good governance to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And so today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am Dominic Smith, temporary senator for United National Congress. I am an economist by profession. I am a servant of Trinidad and Tobago. I am a patriot, and I am quite pleased to be here addressing you today as your moderator for today's proceedings. But never mind me, we have quite a distinguished cast of presenters today. On my right, we have gentlemen who have contributed not only to national development, but they have also contributed significantly to their fields of interest. We have on my right the very distinguished MP Devendranath Tanku, who is a member of Parliament for Oropouche West. MP Tanku was a former chief economist in the office of the Leader of the Opposition under Basil Pandey, and of course, the Honorable Kamala Persad Bissessa. He also served as an advisor to the Prime Minister from the year 2010 to 2015. He has previously spent time working in the Ministry of Education and the Office of the Attorney General and the Ministry of Legal Affairs, and he's also a distinguished attorney at law. Let's give it up for our MP, Devendranath Tanku. To his left, we have a gentleman that has not only represented Trinidad on a national level, he has served Trinidad and Tobago as a Roman Catholic priest, a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Regiment, a business executive, a member of Parliament, and a minister of government. He holds a doctorate in business administration, a diploma in human resource management, and an international master's in business administration. In 2011, he moved to Barbados to take up employment there and worked in the hotel industry. He also has worked at Digicel and Ernst & Young before setting upon his own company across several projects in the private and public sector across the Caribbean. Actively supported the expansion of CAF to Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, and has been pivotal in terms of the implementation of the first government-to-government with governments of Canada and Barbados. More recently, he has facilitated a $40 million USD loan between the government of St. Lucia and the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and is currently advising on 2 foreign direct investment projects in Barbados and Jamaica. A proud son of your very own St. Joseph and a husband and father of 2 girls, give it up for Dr. Sawat Singh. And if you know him personally, I'm sure he'll allow you to call him Ken or Kennedy. Is that correct? Very good. And so, no stranger to our left, we have a gentleman here, former Minister of Energy in the People's Partnership Government, an energy consultant regionally and internationally, with over 20 years' experience in the oil and gas industry, a holder of multiple degrees in chemistry, petroleum engineering, management, and law. We have the former Minister of Energy, Mr. Kevin Ramnarine. And so, friends, brothers, listeners far and wide, we are here today to discuss critical areas of national importance. And some of the things that we'll be speaking about would be issues relating to mitigating of the Forex crisis, addressing issues as it relates to manufacturing and non-manufacturing sectors, and of course, the economic engines and sectors for growth. These are crucial areas and pillars that must be encompassed in the way in which we govern Trinidad and Tobago. And it is incredibly important for our success moving forward as a nation. And so, Comrades, friends, we have been going down a road of economic decline over the past decade. And it is crucial that we engage the public. We engage the persons that this has affected directly. And we engage you with one purpose. The purpose that we have here today is to make Trinidad and Tobago a better place than it is today, and a better place than it has been yesteryear. And so we encourage you in this segment to ask questions as we go into the Q&A, and ask questions that are relevant to your lives, to your livelihood, to your children, and their future. Engage with us as we embark upon this mission today, because we are all in this together. Because when the UNC wins, everybody wins. Special thanks to our leader, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa SC, who will join us very shortly. We want to thank her for her vision and her leadership. We want to thank her for her resilience and her strength. And we want to also pray for her as we move into this time period, which is one that we have dubbed the election of elections, as we take Trinidad forward and we move into a new era of governance for Trinidad and Tobago. So without saying too much, and I know I have said quite a bit, I would like to introduce our first speaker for tonight to begin the proceedings, our very own MP, Devendranath Tanku. Please help me welcome MP Tanku to the stage.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Good night, everyone. Political leader of the United National Congress, leader of the opposition, Mrs. Kamala Bisesa, senior counsel, who's on her way, my colleagues at the head table, again, good night. Tonight we are going to discuss a matter, perhaps the most important matter facing Trinidad and Tobago. You see, I have said it before, I know economics is not sexy, and many people do not pay attention when we start talking about finance, the GDP, etc. But finance is perhaps the most important factor when you are dealing with a country. Because without money, a country cannot run. If you conceptualize a household and the economy, the same issues that face the household face the economy. And without money, a country cannot run. And therefore, must pay close attention to how our country is being run. Do you know that over the last 10 years, this PNM administration has spent over $650 billion? Put that into context, ladies and gentlemen. $650 billion. That's almost, well, that works out an average of $65 billion per year. Now, when you spend that kind of money, you would have expected that some things would have improved in Trinidad and Tobago. As a matter of fact, the opposite is true. Despite having spent all of that money, every single social and economic indicator in our country has gone downwards. I don't have to convince you of that, ladies and gentlemen. I know that you know. But for the purposes of educating those who may not be aware, for the purposes of educating those future generations who may look at this, I want to share some quick statistics with you. Real GDP, that is the output of our country, the value of the output. Every good and service produced in Trinidad and Tobago has a value, and that value is what forms the gross domestic product. When you take away inflation from it, so you consider it as a stagnated, censored figure, real GDP between 2015 and 2024 have decreased by 20%. Everywhere else in the world, GDP has been trending upwards, even post-COVID, and especially since COVID. But in Trinidad and Tobago, our GDP has trended downwards. We have had a contraction of our economy, so our economy has gotten smaller. We as a country are producing less goods and services by 20%, 1/5 of a decline under the PNM administration at this point. Employment. We have lost over 50,000 jobs. Keep that $650 billion expenditure in mind. We've lost over 50,000 jobs over the same period. Our public sector debt has increased threefold. Threefold. And the worst part about that is that the foreign direct debt, the foreign debt, our debt in US and hard currency has also increased drastically. Real agriculture has declined. I said unemployment before. Tourist arrivals have declined. All of this is when you compare 2015 to now. So I'm looking at the 10-year term of the People's National Movement, because we have to look at where we are. We have to look at what we have, what they have given to us, because this is we're talking about the state of the economy now, and I am giving to you what the state of the economy is currently. Tourist arrivals declined. Capital expenditure declined. Retail food price, well, that's the only thing that has increased. In fact, it has gotten worse. The food price index, that is the assessment of the rate of increase, the amount of increase in your food prices, has gone up by an average, overall average of 149%. With the food, the fresh vegetables, being 165%. You all know all of this already. Not so? You all know that the economy has tanked. We are worse off today than we have been since 2006. The state of the economy today is as it was in 2006. So despite having made progress between 2010 and 2015, over the last 10 years, the PNM administration, by its policies, has taken the country, our country's economy, our productive capacity, backwards. And we feel that as a country at every single stage. That is why we have so much unemployment. That is why we have such a substantial foreign exchange crisis. That is why the government has had to keep borrowing. It is because they have not been able to stimulate the economy. Now, a growing economy benefits everyone. If you could cast your mind back to 2010 to 2015, when the economy was growing, and that is what the legacy of Kamala Prasad-Bisasa and the administration between 2010 and 2015 has been. During that period, the economy grew. While it was growing, what we saw is job creation improved. What we saw was foreign exchange improve. What we saw was foreign direct investment improve. What we saw was businesses being created. What we saw was, contrary, on the other side, we saw a drop in crime. We saw a stable inflation rate and therefore stable food prices. That is what you get when you have a growing economy. What we have gotten from 2010 to from 2015 to 2025, this decade has been a decade of regression, where instead of moving forward, the country has been moving backward, and we feel it because there's mass unemployment, there's high crime, there's high food prices, everything is shutting down, businesses are closing down, etc. All of this comes from what is called a lack of confidence. Where did that lack of confidence come from? Recently, the American Chamber of Commerce and I can't remember the name of the other entity right now, but both of them did a study, Ernst & Young. Ernst & Young and AmCham did a study on the confidence in the local sector. Now, if the businesses don't have confidence, they will not invest. If persons abroad don't have confidence in Trinidad and Tobago, they will not invest in Trinidad and Tobago. And we need investment, because investments create business, investments create jobs, jobs create family income, and that has a cycle. It's a multiplier effect. So an economy growing requires this. What we have, based on the survey that was done by Ernst & Young and AmCham, is confidence in the local economy. Here's the question. I want to share this with you. How confident are you that the local economy will grow in the coming financial year? That's the current fiscal 2025. That's the current financial year that we're in. How confident are you that the economy will grow? 21% said yes. They're confident that the economy will grow. You know how many people said the economy will not grow? 79% believe that the economy will not grow. Our country will not move forward in the next year because it is based on the policies of the PNM, which has taken us down so far and which will continue to take us down. 79%. That is 1 in every 5 persons. 4 out of every 5 persons that do not believe that our economy will improve under this PNM administration. And that, I'm sure, if you were interviewed, I don't know who the other, this 21%, we said it's a 1% that benefit. Maybe there's a 21% somewhere in that group that benefits. But 79, 4 out of 5 persons said that the country will not grow because the policies of the PNM has taken us backwards. I wonder if we do a poll tonight here. I wonder if we do a poll to the listening and viewing audience, what their views will be. And maybe the television program that likes to do polls all the time, TV6, maybe they should do a poll on what the reality is. What do people think will happen in the next 5 years if this government continues to operate? In fact, we should go the other way around. What will happen for the next few days? The irony of all of that is that in 2024, just last year, 29% of persons felt that the economy will grow. So between last year and this year, we went from 29% of the people who felt that the economy will grow, 29% felt that the economy will not grow. 29% of the people surveyed last year, just one, this is 3 or 4 months ago, felt that the economy will not grow. 79% feel so now. So what we see is a drastic decline in public confidence in the economy. When that happens, ladies and gentlemen, we have a spiral downhill. And there are several reasons for it. One of the reasons the major reason identified by the persons who felt that the economy will not grow, is that economic constraints faced by customer segments, including rising inflation and food prices, are one of the reasons why they feel that the economy will not grow. Another one is unclear or inadequate medium to long-term national development plans. All of that, ladies and gentlemen, is to tell you that people do not believe that the current government, will not be able to change the economy. They believe that the actions of the current government will push the economy backwards as it has been doing. Ladies and gentlemen, please all stand. Let us welcome the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time.
Put your hands together. Put your hands together and let us give a thunderous welcome to the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa.
Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide. If you want leaders who can restore hope, place your ex by the rising sun. If you want leaders who lead with love, place your ex by the rising sun. On election day, vote UNC. One love, one team, one hope, one dream. On election day.
So welcome, Leader. As I continue, ladies and gentlemen, the point I was making is that the economy has gone backwards because of the policies of the PNM administration. It seems that they do not have any ideas or plans to take the country forward. Already we have a recent newspaper report which indicated that a substantial amount of the budget promises, not just the budget promises, sorry. We know that there are thousands of budget promises that have not been kept. But thousands of promises made by the government in its manifestos and in its stated policies since 2020 have not been implemented. We believe that this is because the government simply has no ideas. They have no plans, they have no policies. Ironically, for the last decade, since they have been in office, the United National Congress, led by the leader of the opposition, has been providing solutions in the parliament and outside to the government. As a matter of fact, if they were not paying attention, I know we are in election season. This is the 2020 manifesto commitments that the UNC had made. Here, there were 12 engines of growth. 12. We have a vision. We had a vision. These visions here, it would have created 50,000 new jobs and stimulated business sector, stimulated excitement in the industry. What we had had since then, however, is the opposite. We've had growing borrowings. During the course of today's conversations, I'm sure we'll give up the figures for some of these growing borrowings. But I want to touch on one thing before my time runs out. The foreign exchange crisis that we face today is significant. We are now in a foreign exchange crisis, which by definition means that we are not generating enough foreign exchange to pay our foreign bills. That has direct impact because it will affect our credit rating agencies. They will view us downwards. When Mrs. Prasad was Prime Minister, we had an A-grade rating. Now, under this government, we have been reduced to a junk bond rating. That's a substantial issue because what that means is that borrowing will now cost more money. The failure of Dragon Gas, which my colleague here will deal with just now, has made that issue even worse. We are now confronted with a crisis of foreign exchange. But there are two sides of the foreign exchange crisis. Crisis number one is in the distribution. We have raised the issue of the distribution of foreign exchange, the foreign exchange cabal that exists among certain businesses, which now deprive the small and medium-sized businesses from getting access to foreign exchange so that they could conduct business. Mind you, small and medium-sized businesses account for upwards of 30,000 employees in this country. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen 6,000 businesses close down. And we've seen, like I said, the loss of 65,000 jobs. One of the issues here, though, so that is one issue. This is the foreign exchange allocation. The other side is foreign exchange generation. Clearly, because the government has pigeonholed itself into one main project, that is the Dragon Gas, only one main project, they have depended totally on that project coming to fruition to somehow ease the pressure for foreign exchange. The government's current source of foreign exchange is borrowing, and raiding the HSF. And now we are seeing the new policy, which is to sell off state assets under clandestine methods. But I want to share one piece of information with you. There's something called the BEPS, Base Erosion and Profit Sharing Law, the agreement, that was signed between this government and international agencies. Under that agreement, Trinidad and Tobago stood to benefit from a substantial amount of figures, a substantial amount of foreign exchange. There was one study done which was named Navigating Transfer Pricing Risk in the Oil and Gas Sector. And that study proved that in 2018, 1 year, when oil prices were low, in just this 1 year, the government could have, if it had implemented that legislation, could have earned an estimated $2.6 billion in one product, natural gas. There are other products, but just in that one product, 17 billion TT dollars or 2.6 billion US dollars could have been earned in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25. Do you know that they brought that legislation to the parliament and up to today that legislation has not been passed? Do you now understand why we are in a crisis of confidence? Do you now understand why we're in a situation where the country has gone backwards? It's simply because the government, which has all the access to all the resources and all the opportunities, simply lack the willpower to do what was required to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you. I will hold myself up for questions later in the program. I turn you back over to my master of ceremony.
Let's give a warm welcome again for our leader, the Honorable Kamala Persad Bissessor, Senior Counsel, and your next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Let me hear you in the back. And I must say, leader, you're looking quite dashing in blue. What a wonderful woman. Beauty, charm, but don't mess with her, because she's not taking any bullying. I also want to recognize some very strong individuals in the audience. We would be really upset with ourselves if we didn't recognize our very own, the man that really needs no introduction, Mr. Jack Warner. Of course, we want to also recognize the learned professor, Professor Kojo. And we also want to recognize, of course, part of our coalition of interests, Mr. Philip Edward Alexander. And I think after his presentation in Naparima, from now on, I will salute when I see Philip Edward Alexander. Such a powerful speaker, such a powerful individual. So, finally, I want to thank my comrade, MP Dave Tanku. Let's give him a round of applause. And MP Tanku would have touched on several economic challenges that we as a nation face. But I want to tell you about the modus operandi of the People's National Movement. One of the things that they try to do is they try to make us forget the last 10 years, the last decade of economic decline. They want you to forget the hardships that you and your children and your family and your friends have gone through over the last 10 years. But friends, we cannot escape that, as Comrade Tanku has noted, Trinidad has been on a rapid decline. And not only is it statistical by fact, but we can also feel it in our pockets. When mothers can no longer afford to feed their children, when persons can no longer afford to travel to school because they don't have passage, when parents have to make a decision whether or not they would feed their children or send them to school, we are in grave, grave problems. And so, friends, as we stand here before you, as we sit in our pews, we are in St. Joseph, a place that is the birthplace of our nation, the first capital of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And is it fitting, therefore, that we're discussing issues related to our economic challenges in the place where this thought and this contemplation should definitely occur? Diversification, friends, has been a concept that we have swept behind for too long. And this People's National Movement government has done so and continue to do so. But before I introduce the next speaker, I want to leave you with one quote on diversification. And the World Bank has said that diversification is not a luxury, but a survival strategy for small island economies. And it is crucial that we tackle this head on. Wake up from your slumber. But I tell you this, the United National Congress has the solution to our diversification issues. And come April 29th, when we are victorious and when the UNC wins, everyone will win. And so I want to introduce our next speaker, a gentleman who is quite aware of the challenges of diversification. And he's also quite aware of the challenges of our main sector that we have been blessed with, the oil and gas sector, the energy sector. There you go, sir. Indeed, the GDP is very important to us. And unfortunately, it has been on the decline. But I want to welcome a gentleman here that is quite experienced. He's spent many time, as we introduced him before, in the Ministry of Energy, a former Minister of Energy. And without further ado, let's welcome, with a round of applause, Mr. Kevin Ramnarine.
Thank you very much, Dominic, Leader of the Opposition, my former boss, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. The best boss. I was going to say that, you preempted me. Members of Parliament, candidates, distinguished members of this party, Jack Warner, Selwyn Kudrow, my sometimes walking partner in Eddie Hard Ground. And if I forget anybody, please forgive me, but it's such a great experience and a great crowd. Before I start, I just wanted to observe that there's a term in geology called the triple junction. Triple junction is a geological feature, and there are not many of them in the world. It's where three tectonic plates meet. It's called a triple junction. And when I came in here, I was talking to Khadija, and we were discussing Currap Junction. Currap Junction is the meeting point of three political tectonic plates. St. Joseph, Tunapuna, and St. Augustine all converge at Currap Junction. So we are at a very special place in Trinidad and Tobago. And before I get carried away with my speech, because I'll get carried away, I want to talk a bit about our political leader. And I want to give you my summary, quick summary, I know we don't have much time, about my experience with her as my boss from 2010 to 2015. And three observations. One, she's one of the strongest people I've ever met, right? And I'm not talking about physical strength, talking about emotional and mental, intellectual strength. The second observation is when I was Minister of Energy from 2011 to 2015, not one day did she interfere with the Ministry of Energy or any state enterprise. Not one day. In fact, I used to have to go to her and ask for advice. And I used to get pretty good, wise advice. And the third observation is that I, more than any minister in that 5-year period, traveled the entire world. India, China, England, and so on. And she was a great ambassador for this country. And represented our country with distinction. So before I get carried away with Stuart Young and others in the PNM, I'd have to say that. So, brothers and sisters, I thank the party for inviting me to share some thoughts tonight. The state of the economy is one of two huge issues in this election. The other is crime. The two issues are interrelated. A weak economy fuels crime, and crime weakens an economy. It's a vicious cycle from which we in this country must quickly escape. And you'll see the reference to the words speed and quick many times in this speech, because we don't have time. The Rowley Young government has presided over the worst contraction in this country's economy since the 1980s. Under their watch, the economy has contracted, as Dave said, by about 20%. And there's been a loss of economic confidence to the extent that our largest private sector companies, I'm not calling names, read the papers, you'll see what I'm talking about. They are investing heavily outside of this country in CARICOM and in the United States. IMF data indicate that Trinidad and Tobago's economy is the 7th worst performing economy in the world for the period 2016 to 2024. I got that from a friend at the university. I wouldn't call his name because he might end up like Dr. Joel Tilak Singh, right? So, 7th worst performing economy in the world. So I, being naturally curious, I wanted to find out, well, who is ahead of us. Number 1, Venezuela. Number 2, South Sudan. Number 3, Yemen. I think the United States was planning to bomb them recently. Sudan, right, which is different from South Sudan. Equatorial Guinea, Lebanon. And at number 7, Trinidad and Tobago. And right behind Trinidad and Tobago at number 8 is Ukraine, country which for the last 3 years has been bombarded by Russia. So what all these other countries have in common with us? These are all countries with war, civil strife, and so on, and we are part of that group of countries. And this is because I know that people on the other side might have a press conference tomorrow. This is IMF data, not my data. The economic malaise is also frustrating thousands of our bright young people who can't find jobs. Many have left. Many will contemplate migration after the 28th of April. Our loss of economic strength means our country is losing not only its young, bright people, but our leadership role and prestige in the Caribbean. The UK government slapped a visa requirement on this country. At the heart of that decline is a massive 31% decline in the energy sector since 2015, which is because of huge declines in gas and oil production. Those declines have led, and we all know, to plant closure, job losses, and closure of companies. The evidence is overwhelming. In 2015, when we left office, there were 20,500 people working in the energy sector. In 2024, that number has come down to 12,500. In 2015, this country exported 231 LNG cargoes. I used to move my blinds in my office and look out in the Gulf of Paria and marvel at the LNG tankers moving up and down the Gulf of Paria. In fact, somebody said on my Facebook post that page that there used to be a little traffic jam for LNG tankers coming in and out of Point Fortin. 231 has become 131 in 2024. So if you want to know what caused the Forex drought, look no further. The issues with the shortage of US dollars to the public, and I see all of a sudden the small man is important, right? Because I see somebody, Prime Minister, saying we have to focus on the small man getting Forex. The issues with foreign exchange supply to the public is not going to get better. It is going to get worse. Our foreign reserves, and Dave gave some numbers, our foreign reserves when we left office was 10.5 billion. And today, as of February 2025, that is 5.3 billion. So, and that 5.3 billion would have been worse. It might be closer to zero. Because if it were not for foreign borrowing, so when they borrow US dollars internationally, they put it in the central bank, and they put that borrowed US dollars in the foreign reserves, and they give the Ministry of Finance TT dollars. So it would have been worse if they were not borrowing internationally and drawing down on the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. So meanwhile, our foreign debt has doubled since we left office. Our foreign debt is now 5.6 billion US dollars. What that means is that our foreign debt now exceeds our foreign reserves. And the only thing standing between this country and the economic abyss is the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. So that Forex shortage is a direct consequence of lower gas and oil production, petrochemical production, which is a direct consequence of a collapse in drilling activity since 2015. Drilling activity is down by about 55%. Less drilling means less production. It's either you, as Trump would say, drill, baby, drill, or you pack up and you go home. Our political leader has over the years advocated for significant reforms to the fiscal regime for oil and gas drilling and the removal of bureaucratic obstacles. I agree with her. We need to wake up the energy sector and the economy, and we need to do that quickly. Our country is facing difficult years ahead because of this natural gas production issue. And strangely, from today, and probably until the 20th of April, you'll see all sorts of announcements about gas discoveries and gas projects and so on, right? So, very coincidental announcements. The political leaders said so many years ago, that we'll be facing difficult times. Last year, Keith Rowley and Coleman Burt said the same thing. They said that 25 to 27, you remember that? They said 25 to 27 would be difficult years. So, we said that long time. We saw that coming. So, the central political issue, one of the central political issues in this election is this issue of the Dragon Project. This has been touted as one of the great achievements of the Rowley-Young decade, or the lost decade, as some call it. The former Prime Minister likened the Dragon deal to the Golden Fleece. Those of you all who did literature in high school remember the Golden Fleece. He afforded great primacy to this deal and went so far to say if it didn't happen, we cuckoo cooked. You remember that? Cuckoo cooked. There were suggestions that the government, the current government, had put its eggs in all its eggs in the Venezuela basket, and that was a risky strategy. To get this Dragon deal and to overcome hurdles of U.S. sanctions, they courted a group of Democratic congressmen in Washington. However, something happened on the 5th of November, 2024 in the United States. Things changed radically, and the Democrats were washed out of power. That is why, when they launched their candidates in Woodford Square 2 weeks ago, I heard reference to a Republican lawmaker, that they met a Republican lawmaker, and they didn't say who it was. But all of a sudden, we hear that they're meeting Republican lawmakers and so on. As far as I'm aware, they were only meeting with Democratic congressmen. President Trump and his Secretary of State. What Trump go do we? Remember that? What Trump go do we? Well, we've been seeing a bit of what Trump could do we in recent messages on Truth Social and on Twitter. President Trump and his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, as was expected, have applied more pressure on Venezuela, making the quest to get Venezuelan natural gas into this country more complex and more uncertain. Brothers and sisters, and I'm sure the political leader will agree, this country cannot plan its economic future on the hopes of getting Dragon gas. We cannot. These hopes rise and fall on the ebb and flow of geopolitical currents. You just cannot plan this country's future on this. The United States is a great nation and a great friend of Trinidad and Tobago. They represent 34% of our exports, and they are the home to our largest diaspora. If Dragon happens one day and it's done properly, then great. But we must look within and develop our own resources, our own deep water hydrocarbon resources, which Mrs. Prasad Bissasa's government unlocked from 2010 to 2025. And we left that deep water baton on the desk for the PNM to run with it. But they either failed to run with it or they started to run with it recently pretty slowly. So what is the way forward? The way forward is to resuscitate the energy sector as quickly as possible. We don't have time. The way forward is to make the best use of idle assets in this country and make them generate forex as soon as possible. This includes idle oil-bearing acreage under the control of Heritage Petroleum and the refinery, which has now been closed for going on 7 years. The refinery is part of what our political leader recently described as an emerging rust belt from Point Lisas to Point Apia to Point Fortin. It is part of the deindustrialization of Trinidad and Tobago over the last 10 years, which has to be reversed. The way forward is to make it easier, and our leader has spoken about this, make it easier for people to do business in this country. The way forward is to accelerate our deep water gas assets, bring them into production. The way forward is to reduce taxation, and the party has spoken to that. Reduce taxation on companies in the non-energy sector and get them to be excited about Trinidad and Tobago again. And the way forward is to align this country to the economic expansion in Guyana and Suriname. The way forward is to diversify this economy, and the former Prime Minister said diversification is an annoying word. The way forward is to diversify into the maritime sector. And the way forward is to excite the private sector to unlock the great creativity of our people. The PNM has not done these things in the last 10 years. That is why, and they will not do it from 2025 to 2030. If they did not do it in the last 10 years, and David, they had 3,489 days as of today. I went and checked that, right? There's a little function in Excel you could use to do that, right? 3,489 days they have had in government. It is the longest continuous stint in government since Eric Williams was in government. Longest continuous. Patrick Manning had 2 stints in government, right? They were not continuous. 91 to 95 and 2001 to 2010. But it is the longest continuous stint, and they haven't done it. And I don't think they will do it anytime soon. So we have a duty, and we stand at what I call the triple junction. And I want to endorse my brother Devish Maharaj for St. Joseph, right? And to all my friends listening in St. Joseph, and I have many friends listening in St. Joseph, do not split your vote. Vote for Devish. He's a brilliant attorney. He's one of the best. They refer to him as a prominent Port of Spain attorney. I still don't understand why they have to say prominent Port of Spain attorney, but he's a prominent attorney. And vote for our sister Khadija. We know she will win this seat handsomely, right? And let us bring Mrs. Prasad Bissessa back into Whitehall. Well, we weren't in Whitehall before, but put her into Whitehall, because we cannot afford 5 more years of everything I just spoke about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Let's say it again for Kevin Ramnarayan. And Kevin touched on some quite pertinent points. Kevin touched on some quite pertinent points. And one thing that he mentioned is, what is the way forward? What is the way forward for a nation that has been struggling to make ends meet? What is the way forward for our children? What is the way forward for our future? And I tell you, under the United National Congress and its government-to-be, we certainly have the vision and the strategy with our leader for the way forward. We have a bold diversification strategy. We have bold investment strategies in SMEs, in renewable energy, in agro-processing, in digital transformation. And we have, most importantly, a bold new social contract with the people, where the state works for you. And that is what we are committed to in the United National Congress. Because when the UNC wins, there you go. So I'll now introduce our final speaker before our last, a gentleman that I've already introduced. Yeah, so I've now been given the privilege to wax lyrical at your expense. And the important thing for St. Joseph and for the people of the East-West Corridor, you know, a friend of mine, I was speaking to someone in my age category, and I guess you can guess my age. I'm not old, I'm not young, I'm just in between, right? So I'm at the ripe age of 36. And the challenge for a lot of people, a lot of persons in my age category, is that we feel a sense of disenchantment. We feel a disconnect with the way in which the government works, and we certainly feel that there's a lack of openness to sharing ideas with the persons who will one day obtain and be a part of the process of how this country is run. And many years ago, I would say, I witnessed the leadership of our very own, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And my cousins and my family have directly benefited for policies and programs that she has implemented. And one of those programs are the laptop programs. And that is a very serious program. Had it been continued, would have benefited the children of Trinidad and Tobago, because we are now faced with an age of innovation that many don't understand. They can't contemplate what are the jobs of the future. And so when there's a visionary leader, she puts things in place that can indeed benefit the future generations. And I tell you today, you put this beautiful woman in charge of our country once again, and we will have a brighter future, not only in St. Joseph, not only in Tunapuna, not only in the East-West corridor, but the entirety of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to say here today that this crowd is quite large on the inside and more so on the outside. And I want to thank all of you for coming today in this town hall meeting. Give yourselves a round of applause. And so I have said a lot, and sometimes I do say a little. And so now I would want to introduce a gentleman here who has sat quite patiently and quietly. We know him as Dr. Sawat Singh, and he has served Trinidad and Tobago as a Roman Catholic priest, a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force Regiment, and of course, a business executive and a former member of Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Dr. Kennedy Sawat Singh.
This is a strange feeling for me. Honorable political leader and leader of the opposition, Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, my former colleague in the 8th Parliament, Trinidad and Tobago. On opposite side. Members of the United National Congress, members of Parliament, members of the head table on the rostrum. I left politics in 2010 after I lost Mr. Volney. And in 2011, I couldn't get a job in Trinidad, so in 2011, I got a job in Barbados. So I've been living in Barbados since 2011. So, honorable political leader, you left the imported Trini for last. So I came in yesterday, and I'm thankful for being invited to share in this forum. So I'm not here as a former member of the PNM Parliament. I'm not here as a member of the United National Congress. I'm here as a concerned citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. So there's a Kennedy Sawat Singh before 2010 and a Kennedy Sawat Singh after 2010. Before 2010, as I spent over 30 years in public life, spent 20 years as a Catholic priest. I joined the seminary, Monks in Benedict, when I was 18. I was ordained in 1991. Spent 13 years as a parish priest. During that time, I joined the army. I'm the only Roman Catholic priest to serve in uniform. I left the army at the rank of major. Worked in Massey for a while. I was an executive at Massey. Then, of course, I was asked to run for St. Joseph, my hometown. I went to Boys RSC School right up the hill. In my days, this wasn't even built. In fact, I remember when Randolph Burroughs shot Guy Hayward in the river in the 1970s. Some of you wasn't even born yet. But anyway, St. Joseph is my hometown. And in St. Joseph, I see Clarita Rivas there. Clarita taught me Patro when I was about 9 years old. In St. Joseph, one of the things that was instilled in us is a deep love for our country, a deep love for what happens to our country. That's why St. Joseph is not just the first capital. It is also a place that we really grew up wanting and living. I mean, in our days, we used to really enjoy the fruits of what it is to live in a beautiful country. But over the last 10 years, I haven't been living in Trinidad, but I've worked in the international field. So after 2010, when I went to Barbados, at that time, the government of Barbados went through a series of downgrades. And the Labour Party was in government. Chris Sinclair was the Minister of Finance. And I was asked to help. And so during that time, when the government of Barbados was having very difficult economic times, it was when the Latin American Development Bank, CAF, reached out to me, and we were able to buy shares for Barbados to join CAF. And the reason I'm going through all of this history is because one of the most important things in any economic strategy of a country is to find ways in which you could finance not just the infrastructure, because when my brother Kevin talked about the injection required in exploring and continue to develop the energy sector, you need capital for that. One of the difficulties that we have had in Trinidad and Tobago is that we have lost our preeminent place as the financial powerhouse of the Caribbean. One of the difficulties in Trinidad and Tobago is that the rank and file and the very marginalized people are suffering even more and being pushed further down that scale. One of the difficulties in Trinidad and Tobago is that even if we were to invest in some of these projects now, it will still take a while for these projects to come to fruition. So in the immediate term, we have to give people hope. We have to give people confidence. We have to be empathetic. And the only representative of that we can find in the political scenario today is the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar. So I am here as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, not just to give her my endorsement, but to give her my ideas. So idea number one, when you see, for example, that I was assisted Barbados with CAF, at that time, in 2013, 2014, during that time, the only other country that made an investment for the future of its people was the United National Congress. Because at that time, Winston Ducaran was Minister of Finance. I struggled to buy 50 million US shares for the government of Barbados. In fact, First Citizens Bank in Port of Spain assisted me to help buy those shares for the government of Barbados. And then we processed loans from CAF to repay that loan. But during that time, before that, the Heritage and Stabilization Fund was established as a future investment into our country. The only other government that made another future investment was the United National Congress. Winston Ducaran bought 325 million US shares in CAF at that time, if my memory serves me right. Now, what that means is that when a country puts or buys shares in CAF, that country is entitled to 4 times their share subscription as a country exposure. I can tell you because at that time I had to resign as a consultant with CAF and represent Trinidad and Tobago with the Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Hilaire, at the first CAF board meeting. So during that time, when Winston Ducaran bought those shares in CAF, it means that Trinidad and Tobago was entitled to $1.2 billion US in a country exposure to support its work and development. Unfortunately, United National Congress came out of office in 2015. And so before the United National Congress government could access that money, Colum Imbert became Minister of Finance. Now, at that time, and I'm not here to bartalk anybody, I'm giving you facts. Because I have no bone in my body for anything, I am not a bacchanalist. But facts are stubborn things. Now, during that time, when I finished the CAF work in Barbados, I was then asked by CAF to help Trinidad complete its entry. So I came, I met with Minister Imbert. I brought the then advisor to the president of CAF to Trinidad, and we completed Trinidad and Tobago's entry into CAF. The benefit of all that CAF that was invested in by Minister Ducaran became now available to the government of Trinidad and Tobago after 2015. And that first tranche was about 400 million US dollars. Now, because Trinidad and Tobago put in 325 million US dollar shares in CAF, Trinidad and Tobago is now a full member of CAF and sit on the board of CAF. And CAF is a $20 billion plus institution. I'm saying all of this to say, therefore, that there are so many things that are available to the government of Trinidad and Tobago that was not passed on. So one of my first suggestions is take some of that CAF allocation, make it available to the manufacturing sector, because CAF lend at a lower rate, so that there's lower interest borrowing to expand the manufacturing sector. And also take there are 3 or 4 times I tried to help. 3 or 4 times. When we completed our CAF entry, I brought a CAF mission to Trinidad. We went to HDC. Because in the CAF allocation, and remember I talked about that $1.2 billion, you can use about 60-70% to the public sector, and you can use some for the private sector. You don't have to use all for government. So during that time, I went to HGC and I said, you know what, we did a CAF mission to HGC. We designed a program to give HDC $100 million revolving facility for housing. We spent about 3 days with them working out a whole PPP structure. I came, I invested my time, nothing happened. We also designed a program to beautify the Beatum, especially all those drainage and so on. That was one of CAF's signature program. Nothing happened. We also we had a meeting with First Citizens Bank. We offered to give First Citizens Bank a $30 million US revolving facility. US, all of this is US. Again, nothing happened. So when we talk about what is available to people, and I'm saying all of this because all the CAF borrowings thus far have been by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Haven't shared any of that with the private sector. Haven't shared any of that with the manufacturing sector. And in CAF, if my memory serves me right again, about 12 commercial banks in Latin America are also members of CAF. So that is an agency that continues to be underutilized. And in my view, we should then, as we move forward, I recommend to the Honorable Leader of the Opposition when she becomes Prime Minister, is to get a revolving facility and it's not just, and we should move away from just doing housing and do sustainable communities with housing and make sure that people can live decently. We can't, Tattle mustn't be the only place where we treat people like people. We must give our citizens a good place to live and raise their families. The second thing, of course, is that we need to solve this, and I know my brother Dave went through a lot of that. I'm going to repeat some of the things he said, because I've got to run out of time just now. Let's talk plenty. But part of the FX scenario is that we have a lot of FX in the country, but it's out of the system. We need to bring it into the system and free up why it is. I work all over the Caribbean. I live in Barbados. But we have so much available to us, yet the way in which our systems have been designed and the way in which it is weighed down by bureaucracy and bacchanal, we need to free these and give the commercial banks a lot more leeway and so that people can have the confidence to bring their money back into the country. And when they go to the bank, $200, they can get the money they have in the account. So we need to fix that system. Now I see that they're meeting with banking sector and so on. We should be doing that on a regular basis. So whoever occupies the chair on behalf of Mrs. Prasad Bisesa must be someone that could not just bring confidence, but be able to listen, engage with stakeholders, deal with all the legislations and bureaucracy that will allow business to be done with greater ease. The other thing, of course, is that I am facilitating right now investment in Barbados for a group out of New York for $97 million in a new hotel that is costing 200 million. They are prepared to do another 300 million in Barbados. And we're doing a 1,000-room hotel in Jamaica. As a finance professional, I cannot believe and I cannot go to anybody to build anything that I don't know how I'm going to finish. Since when we as a people get involved in building buildings to commemorate and not operate? When you do that, what you do is that you tie up capital. You tie up public funds. The building is not in use, but we're commemorating it. If we also invest in an airport in Tobago, we have to invest in Tobago itself. Because to grow an airport, to grow the commercial value of an airport, you have to have rooms. Look, in Barbados right now, one of that project is an airport that I'm dealing with, and Barbados is building about a hotel, and they're building about 3 more hotels, including a Four Seasons that's going to come in the future. But building, because Jamaica just opened a 3rd airport in Negril, and now they're building, and their hotels, they are 1,000 rooms. So think about infrastructure. We have to think, we're going to build this, how are we going to grow it? And if we can't grow it, then why are we building it? My friend Kevin mentioned the refinery. Suriname is about to take off with their oil and gas sector over the next few months. No refinery. Guyana has taken off, no refinery. We have a refinery here, and we decide to shut it down. Now, as I said, the Kennedy after 2010 have been working across many governments and countries in the international space. I have financed and I have helped finance a number of things. My last financial undertaking with the government was in St. Lucia, when I helped the government of St. Lucia get a 40 million loan from Republic Bank in Port of Spain. I, as a professional, must tell you this. I turned 60 last year. I have lived in Barbados for the last 15 years. I a humble fella, I a small fella. I had to go and get a suit because I gave away all my suits after 2010. I gave away all. I didn't plan to put back on a suit, and so when I was invited to come here, I had to go and find a suit. And I'm happy with my short pants and my rubber slippers in Barbados. I was walking with a nip of rum. I don't drink, but I smell it every now and then. And Madam Leader, I don't get a good roti across there. I had to come back here. So I'm saying all of that because the other thing that is important is that we have to spend on infrastructure. But how we have been spending is not the only way to spend. So I also did in Barbados, I did a government-to-government arrangement with the government of Canada Barbados had 22,000 stock meters, and we replaced those meters and so on. And the project wasn't implemented as well as I would have liked, but I got the financing for it. And I'm saying all of that, say that there's a lot of capital globally looking for a home. There are many ways in which we could fund infrastructure projects. There are many assets like Petrotrin that we have underutilized. We need a second sovereign wealth fund. And we can use some of our assets to develop that. You have real solutions for people who want to work, who want to be innovative, who want to be imaginative. And if Mrs. Pasabi says I can do that, then voting for her and the UNC is like orchard juice, a perfectly natural choice. We don't have to sit down. And so our role is not to look and say, listen, you know, all of these things, they're wrong. They're not going anywhere and so on. But there are solutions. There are solutions for people who want to be serious about taking our country forward. This is not about Bacchanal and Moviland. This is just about facts. We need to make sure that whatever time we have, and this is my own mantra, whatever time I have left on this earth, I want to make this place better for my children and their children's children. For the last 15 years, I am sure none of you would have remembered me because I have not ventured, I have not come forward, I have not spoken, I have not gotten involved. And as I said, I have no axe to grind with anybody. My 2 children are now big enough. I spent the last 15 years, when we left Trinidad to go to Barbados, stop me when you're ready to stop me, please. When we left Trinidad to go to Barbados, they were 2 and 4. They are now 18 and 16, and they're in Canada studying. So I have a little time on my hands. So when I was asked to come, I put some thought in it and said, you know what? I have kept quiet. I have stayed out of the people's business. I don't have a suit, and if I go in my short pants and my rubber slippers, and it ain't gonna look good. So why go? We who know better have an obligation to do better. We could sit down and play this game, and I'm sure probably by tomorrow, everybody could be calling me and saying, "That's what Rat saying, he gone because he..." I ain't here to eat our food. I ain't here because of anything I was promised. I was asked to come and give my thoughts, and I'm here to give those thoughts for whatever it's worth. I am here because in my beautiful community of St. Joseph, that there comes a time when we have to say, enough is enough. Move aside and give some serious people an opportunity to do what they have to do. In the immediate future, once the UNC takes over government on 29th of April, the FX scenario could be fixed. Meet with stakeholders and find out how we could get rid of some of the bureaucracies and red tape and fix some of those situations. And give the confidence that Trinidad and Tobago, we know what we're doing, and therefore we can take this country forward, and we can provide the environment for others to come in and invest. And the last thing I will say is make Port of Spain a headquarter country and get headquarters to come and set up business and create meaningful jobs for the citizens of our country. Thank you.
Let's hear it again for Dr. Kennedy Sawat Singh. You know, all of us have experienced the words of wisdom of our grandparents. And it's a common phrase that I used to hear from my grandmother. She would say, performance beat old talk. Right, and I have one for you now. If performance beat old talk any day, it means that non-performance is old talk. Yes, I like this crowd. Yeah, we always saying that, exactly. So, I want to say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, the voters of Trinidad and Tobago, that no decision to vote is a vote. Your indecision as a young voter is a vote. And so we're in a crucial time right now. We have a few days left. If I were you, I would choose a leader that stands on performance and not old talk. And so join me as I welcome the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable and Distinguished Kamala Persad Bissessa, Senior Counsel.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you all very much. It's okay? If you allow me 1 minute, please, because we are in the holy season of Lent and the holy month of Ramadan. So, all protocols observed tonight, to all my colleagues who are here, but I think we should say a very special thank you. Well, I don't know how to, Dr. Sawat Singh, I asked him, how shall I address you? former member of parliament for St. Joseph, but I knew you were also a priest. So do I have to call you father? I said, do you still practice as a father? He said, no, but I am now a father. I have children. Please thank him for his words here that he shared. Thank him so much. Let us also thank so much former Senator who worked so well under the partnership government, Kevin Ramnarayan, for his words shared with us tonight. And of course, our own Dave Tanku, MP Dave Tanku, Chairman of the United National Congress. Thank you, Dave. When I have to double-check some economic statistics, the person I call is MP Tanku. So thank you so much, Dave. And of course, Dominic here, who is just a young, budding economist. Happy to have him here. And you see all these nice Mama Guy words he tells me, looking so good and so on. Continue, because Mama Guy will get you everywhere. Sure, we have an urgent announcement.
So just some housekeeping. We'd like the driver of PBY 151 to attend to your vehicle as soon as possible. It's pretty urgent, so please attend to your car. PBY 151. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, in the holy season of Lent and the holy month of Ramadan, this is a very important time for Muslim brothers and sisters, as it is for those Christian brothers and sisters observing Lent. But tonight is a very special night for Muslim brothers and sisters. Now you say, why am I having a meeting tonight? But it wasn't me who caused us to have to come to meet you in St. Joseph and elsewhere in the month of Ramadan. It was that young man who called a date in the holy month of Lent and the holy month of Ramadan. So we mean no disrespect to anyone, but we have to come to meet you in your communities to share what we can do, how we want to help you, how we want to improve your lives, how we want to improve conditions for your families. So we mean no disrespect to any of the communities, and I want to thank you all for understanding. I want to thank those of you who joined us tonight, those joining us on TV6 and elsewhere, all the streaming, Ian Allen's Facebook, all the streaming platforms. I say good night to all of you out there and all of you inside here. Good night to all of you. Good evening. So I'm telling you, this is a very special time for our Muslim brethren. It is believed that there's this night, which is the 27th today. It is believed that during this night, prayer is so most important. It is called a night of power. Now, I don't want to damage the Arabic words, but what it means for us in English is a night of power. It is believed, this is called during any of the odd-numbered nights. And tonight, the night of Ramadan is one of those nights. It is a time to seek forgiveness, to engage in acts of worship. And of course, we call upon Stuart Young that they should pay special attention to this and pray and seek forgiveness for the destruction they have brought to the people of Trinidad. And on this night, our brethren believe the decree of everything that will happen throughout the coming year is decreed. So I take this opportunity to join our brethren, Muslim brothers and sisters in prayer as we seek the Creator's divine intervention to make our world, to make our country a better place. With your help, we can do this together. So thank you very much. Dr. Swaraj Singh spoke about the calf. And do you have the photograph? Ask Kevin, can you put that photograph up on the screen? So it was my government which signed the agreement with the CAF, which allows us to get the benefits that Dr. Swaraj Singh mentioned. And if you look at the screen, you will see me and someone. We were in Colombia. Kevin was there with me. Kevin Ramnarayan. We went for the Summit of the Americas. And I didn't know you were going to speak about the CAF tonight, but you see how good these boys are Barry and Kevin. I just got it on the phone, and so great is the technology, they were able to get it from me right away. So here we are. We were in Colombia. I said, Kevin was there with us on that visit. And the person who is standing there with me is Enrique Garcia. He was the CEO and president of the CAF. It was there in Colombia that we signed the CAF agreement, which has allowed us some of the benefits you've mentioned, and of course, which we'll make use of. Now, my friends, they've spoken a lot, others here, my colleagues here, about the state of the economy. I don't think we need to tell you that. I think you know it, you feel it in your pockets, you feel it on the roads, you feel it inside the hospital even, you feel it in the schools, everywhere. So I just want to share a few thoughts because I want to hear from you. Tonight I want you all to also give us some ideas, some thoughts, share your feelings with us. So I'll just take a short time to share with you some of the things I think a new UNC government could do and we will do when you put us back in office on the 28th of April. So one, lower corporation taxes over the next 5 years. Lower corporation taxes over the next 5 years. Because you know why? We believe that businesses know how best to use their own money. They know how to use their money, and therefore we should not overtax people. I remember there was a famous expression that you can't tax yourself into prosperity. So we are saying we should not overtax these businesses to try to return that taxation. So we say we're taking the tax, but then we're giving you a subsidy. Isn't that what happens? So you overtax people, and the subsidies are misdirected. Misdirected. Therefore, that same money we can leave the small companies, which have been struggling over the past years with limited profitability and substantial cost of doing business. So we lower the corporation taxes and especially help our small and medium-sized businesses to grow. And when they grow, you know what happens? There are more jobs created, more wealth is created, and more tax will eventually be paid because you're creating more wealth. We intend to say no property tax. No property tax. We will deregulate and simplify the processes for environmental clearance and approvals for new and existing businesses. Over-regulation and prohibitive initial requirements increase your startup costs, and they cause time delays, and then that chases away new businesses, and you stifle up-and-coming fledgling businesses. So deregulation is the process to get a business going, just start it. It's too long, it's too, I know, Doc, you will know that. So we stifle these small businesses. Many times, often after initial requirements are met, there is no ongoing work to take place, no ongoing assessment. The result is environmental degradation throughout operations. To address both these issues, we could instead mandate that businesses, once they are operational, they must implement an environmental management system, such as the ISO 14000 series. This measure, we think, would reduce initial requirements, it would expedite the time to get the business operational, and it would provide continuous monitoring of operations throughout the lifespan of the business. Today I'm talking economy, so bear with me. I'll talk the other talk tomorrow. Saturday in Granly, you will hear more of the other plans, but tonight we are on economy. We will pursue double taxation agreements with more countries, such as South America. Listen, the South American continent has, what is it, 600 million, over 600 million people. Can you imagine if we can have these double tax agreements with them? If we could work closer with them, that's a market of 600 million people sitting down there, could buy our products. Our manufacturers can produce and we can sell. So we get into agreements with more countries, I said South America, West Africa, and other Commonwealth countries to increase the attractiveness of our country to highly skilled and professional investors and foreigners. Further, we plan to strengthen legislation to protect minority shareholders. That is currently one of the areas which holds back the ease of doing business in our country. We plan to aggressively enhance legislation regarding contract law. I know that's so very important, contract law and mediation. We have to enhance that legislation because at current what happens, it takes between 4 to 6 years to settle contract disputes. The average lawyer will tell you, all the other lawyers here will tell you, and then you may well be one of those persons in issue with someone, whether a big contract or a small contract, so take you what? 4 to 6 years. We have to find a way through legislation, of course, through fixing our courts to expedite the justice system. 4 to 6 years to settle contract disputes. I feel that a stronger legislative framework will serve to make contracts more secure, will shorten resolution times, and will prevent unwarranted litigation, whilst at the same time it will promote, encourage investor confidence. You don't want to be in a business, you invested money, and then something goes wrong between you and your business partners or your supplier. You are an exporter, wait, maybe something goes wrong, and you have to end up in a courthouse, and 10 years later you are still fighting this case. And what happens? Business gone, you know. Business shut down. You're caught up in litigation. So we are saying we look at the legislation to see how we can shorten times within for the ease of conducting business. We plan to implement Spanish as a compulsory second language in all our schools. We can, from preschool if we can. And it's not because of the number of Vennies who are here. This will enhance our ability, our local businesses, our workforce to penetrate South America, to penetrate that market. And as I said, it has a consumer base of over 422 million people. Now, one of our advantages has been and continues to be that we are English speaking. And coming through the Commonwealth system, there are 52 other nations in the Commonwealth who all have similar histories like ours. So we have been naturally inclined to stay with those others because they have the same system of jurisprudence, the same system for education. We naturally gravitate towards them. But look, this whole big thing sitting down right next to us, South America, with this consumer base of 422 million. So one way I think we can help work to penetrate that is to set the Spanish in our schools as compulsory. What do you think of that? As a matter of urgency. 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 You're not in your head, young one. We must implement computer technology and software equipment as core parts of our education syllabus. We must be prepared to live in the world of AI. They took away the laptops. You know, we talk in economy here. I remembered when I was getting ready to come, I remembered a few years ago this PNM government, and don't feel Rowley Garner, he's still there. And Stuart Young is still there. All of them there for the past 10 years. And I remembered when they took away the 1 cent. Any of you remember that? You know what happened? Several things happened. When they took away that 1 cent, it meant everything had to be rounded off. So the prices went up. And work it out, do the maths. Prices went up. So I was telling that to someone at my home as I said I was getting ready. I said, boy, like when they take away that 1 cent, they take away all the dollars too. We lost the dollars too because we have no money in this country. And he said to me, no, it's not that. He says, it's easier for you, Kamala, to make a list of the things that we have not lost because we have lost so much. So we lost the laptops for our children. And we intend to put those laptops back into the school and to have a whole computer technology, software development as core parts of this education syllabus. We want to improve the ease of doing business by implementing a quality assurance management system in specific units related to business development, statutory approvals, credit facilities, tax clearances, and financial accreditation in the following organizations: legal affairs, utilities, RIWASA, TNTEC, including also NGC, customs and excise, BIR, EMA, town and country, FIU, and building inspectorate. Aligning all these units under a common quality management system will definitely facilitate the ease of doing business in Trinidad and Tobago. We can reduce our costs of exporting a container of locally manufactured goods because we want to sell, we want Forex, everybody crying about Forex. Kevin explained to us why we don't have the Forex. Why? Remember who is the Minister of Energy and who was the Minister of Energy? The same young man. Tell him, boy, catch yourself. Catch yourself, boy. Catch yourself. You've been the Minister of Energy. And what happened? Kevin called it the energy drought. And then you put all your eggs into that one basket. Dragon gas. Kevin explained there are other things we can do to grow back our energy sector. I read in The Guardian editorial, I think it's today, and we've lost the dragon going away. And I reminded Kevin, what Trump going to do? Well, it's coming, it's coming. And I saw they raised something, Kevin, that we began, which is the Calypso. They didn't pay attention to the Calypso fields. And the Guardian was saying, which I'm looking at it and we'll consider it, look at there and spend the money there. And why has it not taken off? They're saying they still have some negotiations. So get yourself and get it done. But we will do it. You have failed to do it, we will do it. The UNC will do it. We can reduce, I say, costs of exporting containers of locally manufactured goods. We can improve road infrastructure to decrease transportation costs from the ports to the factory, from the factory to the ports. Hire more customs and excise personnel to increase the efficiency of their operations. I heard a young man say you want to create a ministry of what is it, efficiency? That's not what you do. You must put systems in place. If you want efficiency, you have to put systems in place. You have to put legislation in place. And then he say, the ministers will be riding down the workers, and then he'll be riding down. He will then be riding the ministers to get the job done. Well, you're there 10 years and you couldn't do it. You didn't ride down anybody to get the work done. I don't believe you could do that for the next 100 years of your life if you live so long. You can't do it. So don't promise something that you cannot do of efficiency. We will make the operations, customs and excise more efficient. And we'll give you the details as we go along in this campaign. And of course, we'll roll it out when you put us back in office. We will invest heavily in improving port infrastructure to attract new shipping lines. We will invest heavily in improving port infrastructure to get new shipping lines again for import-export. 4, we will increase the number of bonded areas off-site the ports so we can free up space within the ports for exporters. We will strengthen management and tech systems to reduce inspection and documentation times and speed up. Utilize blockchain technology as a way of keeping track of transactions and documentation, as well as for asset management. All of this is to make greater ease of doing business for people in this country. I said we will utilize blockchain technology. This will help us tremendously. We will invest and expand the TT Bureau of Standards to enhance the ability to test imported products and reject inferior products from coming into our country. We are inundated with the dumping on inferior products, and that is very detrimental to our local manufacturers who have to adhere to higher quality standards. And because they have to do that, their prices may be a little higher, but then you have the dumpers that will bring down the prices. Tax breaks for employees when they go for employee training and retraining. We give them tax breaks. Again, we need our employees for continuous training. We will work with fellow CARICOM members to create new and enhanced trade agreements. As CARICOM, we will be in a stronger position to get more profit agreements when we go on the outside of the CARICOM. These are just a few of the ideas we think that can help us to improve doing business, the ease of doing business, that can help us to improve efficiencies, and will make doing business, as I said, easier, and will encourage new businesses to start up and to invest. And when that happens, what happens? You get jobs, and you can help earn foreign exchange. I have a plan for the corridor. I'm in the corridor tonight. Kevin told us about, what was it, the triple junction. And here we are, a very important area of our country. In our master plan, the UNC's master plan, we have proposed 12 strategic prosperity engines focusing on key developed areas which would help the country in economic diversification. I think, Dominic, you spoke of that, diversification. I think everybody speaks about that. I remember former Prime Minister Rowley, in a speech he was giving, they only talking about diversification. Well, Mr. Rowley, you find out what has happened to your economy and your country because you never made any effort to diversify. Our plan includes, I'm saying, 12 key strategic prosperity engines on key development. 1, Brecon Castle Agro-Processing Complex. 2, St. Madeleine Manufacturing Facility. 3, East-West Corridor Biotechnology Manufacturing Corridor. And I'll get a little more details on that one tonight because we are on the corridor. 5, Tamana Solar Tech Renewable Energy Park. 6, West Port of Spain Trinidad Creative Arts Street Area. 7, East Port of Spain Steel Pan Manufacturing Facility. People producing steel pan. We are the home of the steel pan. And we had to buy from Japan. And what is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? I had spoken of this, and I remember Minister Hines at that time in the Parliament get up and carry on about we already have a factory. And here, lie? That was a lie. That was a lie. We will work, as I say, East Port of Spain, steel pan manufacturing facility. 8, Piarco Aircraft Maintenance, Repair and Operations Hub. I think Dr. Swartzen talked about Make Back Port of Spain, and the other people not in Port of Spain probably didn't understand too clearly. But what he was saying is we must take back Port of Spain, must come back how it was at the capital of the Caribbean. That's where we were. We've gone, as Kevin told us, low down. So we will take Piarco to become a hub. They'll have to pass through here. Now we have to go to everybody else's country and then jump and explain to go somewhere else. If we get Piarco as an aircraft maintenance, repair, and operations hub, again, will increase jobs, increase earnings. 9, Cedros Special Economic Zone. 10, Point Galeota Energy Logistics Hub. 11, Plymouth International Cruise Ship Marina Complex. And Tobago's first locally branded hotel. I know one of you spoke about hotels elsewhere. Barbados, I think, Dr. Swarat Singh was talking about hotels there. And now let me address our specific plans for the East-West Corridor I'm saying we'll set up as a manufacturing hub, the East-West Corridor. A lack of jobs is a significant problem along the East-West Corridor. The next UNC government is going to work for and with our manufacturers. Work for and work with our manufacturers. Excuse me. We plan to incentivize companies, not subsidize, incentivize companies. Yes, we'll do some subsidies, but we want to incentivize companies. When you subsidize them, they don't care to perform because you're getting it anyhow. When you say you're getting this subsidy, every month or whatever, where is the incentive? Where is it to perform? So whether your score is 0, your score is 10, 15, 100, subsidy. We're saying if we offer you an incentive as a reward for if you perform better and better, we can do that, incentivize companies. And they know they have to perform to get that incentive. Those of you on the corridor who are as young as I am will remember many manufacturing and light industrial companies could have been found along the East-West Corridor from Arima to Port of Spain. Many from Arima to Port of Spain. And what that caused, it led to a migration of the population, our population, to this area in search of employment and proximity to workplaces. However, what happened after the economic crash of 1986, after the 1990 coup, many companies folded and others relocated to other parts of the islands, and this created a problem. Problem we have here now in the corridor. We have a workforce, persons in the East-West Corridor, but there are not enough jobs, the sustainable jobs for the population along the corridor. Years have gone by now, and we have a social problem of crime because of the unemployment situation along the East-West Corridor. I think Kevin talked of it when he talked about the crime creating the problems, the joblessness creating the problems, and the two are intertwined. The crime and the economy are intertwined. We plan to designate this East-West Corridor as a special growth pole. There's a highly educated and skilled workforce in place here, and you just need the jobs. So we will create that special growth pole along the corridor. The industries we want to target are food processing and packaging of agri-produce, manufacturing of basic medical supplies and disposables, such as saline, needles, bandages, latex gloves, gongs for local use, and export to CARICOM and elsewhere. Why we can't make these things? Why we can't make it? We can do it right here. We have the workers, we have the skills, and we can get it done. And we can export it and get what? Forex. The ever disappearing Forex, we can create Forex revenue streams for our country. On this here corridor, we will set up the manufacture of a local, low-cost pharmaceuticals and generic medication. This will help in many ways. It will create the jobs, but it will deal with the problem where the government seems to be, this government, always seems to be, in the CDAP, you can't get the medication, the prices are very high. They haven't changed the formulary. There's a book of medication, Dr. Bodo will tell us. They haven't changed that formulary that you could get new medications that have come on board, cheaper ones. That thing in existence how long, Doc? You will tell me you can't remember. Okay. It's been there a long time. A long time. So we need to change that as well. And we can use generic medication. So I wouldn't call any name because I don't want to advertise anybody's product right now. Dr. Chaitan, do you know how long that formulary is in place? For your whole life? Okay, well, your life is not very long. You're still long. You're still very young. We can do manufacturing of medical furniture, bed, trolley, chair. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with doing that? Why can't we make the chairs and the beds and the trolleys and things that we use in the hospital. And said, why? Create jobs again. And if we're doing it good enough, I talked about the 422 million people in South America who send it across the waters. They export, bring in forex, bring in revenue streams to our country. We can do manufacture of home furniture. I think at the moment some of our furniture is imported from Jamaica. Check in courts and tell me, but I think some is imported from. Why we can't? You remember in many moons ago when there was a real father of the nation, his name was Dr. Eric Williams. And in those days, hey, I see you shaking here, Clarita. You remember those days? They used to plant teak. You remember they call them teak plantations. We have so much teak. Why we can't make furniture? So we're creating jobs. Are we doing what? We want to export it too. Why are we buying? Anyhow, moving along, we will do it with your help. When you put us back on the 28th, we will do it. We can manufacture specialized chemicals for the oil and gas industry and for the medical industry. We can do garment manufacturing. I told you all Monday night, my great mother, Rita Prasad, one of the things she taught me to do was to sew because she was a seamstress. What become of all the seamstresses all over? What has happened, Nico? What happened? We want to buy, you want to buy ready-made. Well, look at you now, Vidya. You want to buy ready-made. In my time, for most of my adult life, thanks to my mother, Rita Prasad, thanks, Ma, I used to sew my own clothes. I told you that on Monday. Many people sew their own clothes. We can set up garment manufacturing. Yes, we do have some, but we can do more. Along this corridor, we can do more. We can manufacture garments. We can set up a metals foundry for precision casting of primary component parts for use in secondary assembly industries. We can set up a glasswork industry for the manufacture of paints, household glassware, optical lens. You can do that too. Component parts for secondary assembly industries. We can manufacture simple household equipment right here in Trinidad and Tobago. We can do electronics assembly. And there's another area, it's called e-waste recycling. E-waste recycling. I have in my house, I shouldn't tell you, but several pieces of computer where it went bad, piece bad, a printer. Jack, I'm sure you have endless. I'm sure you have many. Prof, you'll know what I'm talking about. Over your lifetime, you accumulate all this equipment and things. They're not working. You keep it. My husband likes to fix things. Dr. Greg likes to fix things, so he always keep an old computer and old. So when one go bad, he take in piece of me and piece of it. Look, e-waste recycling. This is where you take these computers and printers and other electronic devices to recover the reusable parts that you can reuse. You get reusable materials from it. And do you know that there are countries in the world who actually pay you to do this? They pay you. And then you can resell the recovered parts of the e-waste that you have found. Sounding good? Yes. E-waste. So you know, long ago, people used to go around my house looking for old scrap. Oh yeah, well, scrap iron. Scrap iron. But your computers and stuff. We can do that e-waste recycling, getting good parts from it, which we can then sell. And I just told you, their countries will pay you to do that, to take their e-waste. They'll pay you to take the e-waste, and you can set up businesses. You go through them, you disassemble them, and you take out what is good from them. We can also strive to establish a biotechnology manufacturing zone along the East-West corridor. That way we can create a cluster of industrial applications in agro, in health and wellness, and industrial and environmental biotechnology. Such areas could include therapeutic and other plants, exotic livestock development, biopesticides, crop genetic improvement, Asian medicine, generics as well, biosimilars as well. Remember this campus here, UWI campus, was famous for tropical agriculture. Famous for tropical agriculture. And in fact, a lot of the strains of cocoa and so on, correct me if I'm wrong, but if my memory is right, developed new strains, all those things have gone. They've gone. Then they came into St. Joseph and they shut down I remember as a child coming up to the farm. They used to buy plants there. They have decimated this place. Isn't that true, Davish? The farm. Mm-hmm. Yes, totally. Yes, totally. Totally. So there's a lot more, as I say, I can share with you on another day. So some of these ideas may find favor, others may not. I wish to point out that the UNC has a proven record of delivery. You cannot dispute delivery. Tanku showed you the picture of the 2010 manifesto, was it? The photograph with it, and we said 50,000 jobs. We did it. We delivered the 50,000 jobs. We have a track record. The UNC is a job creator, and you know why? We know what it is like to suffer when they don't have a work. We know. The UNC has come out of labor. Wait, Mark will tell you that. UNC was born out of the labor movement. And we know how important workers' rights are. That is why we've worked with Mr. Roger in the OWTU, and we worked with PSA, Mr. Leroy Batiste, to create a workers' agenda. Very important, fair days, pay for fair days work. So, created those jobs. Oh, it was about 55,000. We had put in the manifesto, 50,000 a year, and we created over 55,000 new jobs in our country from 2010 to 2015. All gone. That's the next thing lost. That's the list of things lost is longer than the list of things they've kept. The UNC brought down our unemployment rate to its lowest point in history. Lowest, did you all know that? Lowest point in history. The UNC saved the most in our history in 2014. Cash in the bank, foreign reserves, the HSF. We had US $13.1 billion we left them. When we left office, TT, 91.7 billion. How much is it now, Dave? Foreign reserves, we had 11 to 12 months import cover. They've brought it down now to about 5 months. How much is it? 5.3. 5.3. From 13.1 billion in foreign reserves, brought down by this wicked government, to 5.3. 5.3 billion. Somebody pack their bags and run away, you know. Somebody more will be packing their bags to run away, you know. Where all that money gone? Can you see it anywhere? Can you touch it? Can you feel it anywhere? No. All that money, and that's just from foreign reserves, and they're crying about Forex. We left this country with over 13 billion US dollars in foreign reserves. Forex. You say foreign reserves, Forex we talk about. Foreign money in US dollars. The incentives we placed in the hydrocarbon sector, and Kevin spoke of some of them, resulted in increased production for Trinidad and Tobago. We had the highest FDI in our country, foreign direct investment. None is coming out. You know what's happening? It's the opposite. No foreign direct investment, instead it's outflows, leaving Trinidad and Tobago. And somebody in the crowd, they could put up your hand if it was you shouting about the GDP. Under my watch, we had the highest GDP in Trinidad and Tobago. So I thank you all for your time. Was you? Okay, all right. Take a bow, give him a round of applause. I want to thank you for your attention. Again, thank our special guest for tonight, Father Swarat Singh. former PNM MP for the constituency of St. Joseph. Don't hold that against him, the man bright. He brighter than a light bulb. He shared a lot of ideas with us tonight, and I thank him for that. I thank him for making that special trip back to Trinidad, and I'm sure you'll get all the roti you want, Trini roti before you go, and some Trini doubles too. Thank you all. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dominic, and thank you, Kevin. And now I will, Dominic, what's the plan now? We hand over for it's your time now. It's your time now, and it will definitely be your time on the 28th and after the 28th when you help us form the government. So we will listen to you now, and I look forward to your thoughts and suggestions. Thank you.
Let's give it up for our honorable leader. Let me hear you in the back. And for the thousands outside, let me hear you. Good. So this meeting essentially is not about us here. It's not about the people sitting in front of you, but it's about you, the average citizen, every unique individual who has an equal heritage in the resources of Trinidad and Tobago. And so we want to hear from you. We're going to open the floor now for questions to our distinguished panelists. And I'll ask each one of you to come up in an orderly fashion. There'll be persons in the queues just ordering you to the left. Don't come all at once. Yes, so I'll ask you to say your name and what area you're from and direct your question to the panelists. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Carmelita McGurk, and I am from Aruka Lupino. Our wonderful candidate here, Dr. Chaitan Maharaj. And I don't want to be long, but I want to share about 3 personal questions and 1 personal experience, and I will try to precis it, so I won't be long, right? First thing is that I say good afternoon to our next Prime Minister for Trinidad and Tobago and all the panelists, right? I wanted a laptop for my granddaughter, right? Now, I and Mr. Rohan Sinanan, wife, Miss Pam, is personal friends, right? So I called her and I asked her for it. She sent a application form for me. She told me to take it to the principal in the school in Bode High, right? And she will give Mr. Rohit to give the Minister of Education, right? That is months and upon months now. When I called her, she told me that it was in Tobago, in a retreat in Tobago. And when Mr. Rohan come back, she will remind him to remind her. Up to this day, I never got that laptop. She wanted to buy it for me. I texted her 2 days ago, and I told her, when our boss come back, our opposition leader, I will get the laptop, right? Second thing is that question to the panelists, right?
Yes.
The second thing is I want to urge the PNMites, PNM till I die, if they love their children and their grandchildren, when the 28th reach, put their vote by the rising sun. So we'll have a better standard of living. Because one thing I could say about our political leader is that she's a woman, as you say, I don't back on my word. She stands to what she promised and what she says. She's not a promise and not fulfill. She performance, not like this incompetent government, PNM, right? And the third thing is what I would like to ask or advise our government is that the employment age from 18 to 35, because I know of people who apply for jobs, right? And within the age limit from 18 to 35, they never get a job. So I'd like our government to raise it to 18 to 40. right? So thank you very much for having me. Have a blessed evening.
Good night. I promise to be very short. My name is Devish Maraj. I'm the prospective candidate around West St. Joseph. Earlier this week, I walked with Dr. Carson Charles, ma'am, in Mount Lambert, Mount Dore, and the response was tremendous. And in response to that, I think the PNM had a massive walk in Mount Hope. After hearing Dr. Kennedy, I'm going to ask him to join me publicly in my march and my walks in the constituency. So that's an open invitation. But anyway, political leader, I heard your extensive plans and detailed plans for the East-West corridor. I just wanted to add one thing, maybe for your consideration. A group of UE students came to see me. They were from the computer science department last week. And they were saying what were the opportunities open to computer science students after they graduated. Then we have a high intellectual capital between St. Augustine and Mount Hope. A lot of schools, retired professors and so on. And they were considering making this part of the country a technology hub. So I want to just offer that to one of your plans for the East-West corridor. The other thing is, on my walkabout in Mount Lambert, the former chairman of the Innovative Council, Mr. Emerson Charles, he was part of the Economic Advisory Board, and when it became defunct, the council fell apart. And he just drew to my attention, in 2008, we were number 68 on the innovative index in the world. And in 2025, we had dropped to 108 to 125. So in Trinidad and Tobago, ma'am, we are no longer innovating. We are no longer creating, and we want the constituency of St. Joseph, they want to draw that to your attention. So in light of that, I am asking if anyone can tell us, and you hinted on it, the involvement of AI and technology in new industries going forward, because that is the way forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lev. We had promised, we talked about making here St. Augustine and St. Joseph and so on a technology hub, something we can look forward to. But we had looked forward to making this area here an education city with the University of the West Indies there. And we had opened the nursing academy and all the, Khadija was at in El Dorado, which they shut down as well. And we were training medical personnel, not just nurses, but all the various limbs within the medical faculty and facilities. So we had planned, as I say, for it to be an education city, but times have moved on, and you're right, AI is very important. We'll certainly consider what you have mentioned to us. Well, you're preempting or pushing forward some of the manifesto ideas that we have. We will have a manifesto launch, and we do have, for the creation of AI, a Ministry of Artificial Intelligence. We have to take advantage of the technology. So we are on the same page, I would say. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Leader. We have a full crowd here tonight, and I am told that we have a former Deputy Commissioner of Police, Mr. Deodat Dulal-Chan here. Can we get a round of applause for Mr. Dulal-Chan? Very good. So I'd like to ask the attentive audience and obviously the long queues that we have now to keep your questions to one, and also bear in mind you have 3 minutes to ask your question. Thank you.
Thanks. Shiva Ramnarayan, Shagwana Seas. Thank you very much, leader, panel. Excellent contribution, well messaged and well received. Couple of things. I just wanted to give a quick synopsis of what I heard. I think MP Tanku was spot on. Increased taxes over the last 10 years. Increased public debt, which is a catastrophe. We talked about the GDP. Heritage and Stabilization Fund depletion over time, and no diversification. So I wanted to say, leader, in terms of what you said in your plan rollout, excellent, because it's very ambitious, very welcomed. A couple of things I do want to ask, though, from a diversification perspective. We have seen a depletion of our reserves, 228,000 barrels down to 54,000, right, of most recent. Similarly with oil and gas, 4 billion cubic feet down to 2.5. So diversification is of critical importance. So diversification is of critical importance. So this was really specifically to Kevin, and was hoping that you can help us. I'm all for drill, baby drill, but I'm also for diversification. So how much of that is going to be split? In the interest of time, I'm going to ask the other two questions, and then we could come back to that. To MP Dave Tanku, we also spoke about our debt and public debt, and it has been a catastrophe. Why that Minister of Finance was allowed to sit there for 10 years, and our debt to GDP increased from 34% to 60% is, again, a horrible situation. How does someone who get in there deal with something of that magnitude? All right? Because that is a significant task to deal with.
Thank you. Thank you for your question.
That's it. That's your question. You said, no, I'm a little confused, sorry, sir. You seem to have some very good statistical data you shared with us, thank you. You said I talked about some matters for diversification, and Kevin is talking about energy.
Yeah.
But it's very simple. It's not an either-or decision. Right. It is both, that we will have to diversify and we will have to build back our energy sector. It's right. Not an either-or. And cannot be, and that is what went wrong when we put all our eggs in the energy basket. So we have to explore everything that we feel can bring revenue streams into our country.
Indeed.
Thank you very much, Shiva. Is there anything you want to respond to, Kevin?
I think that was a very perfect answer. We have to do both simultaneously. And there's a great opportunity for this country to diversify into its maritime sector. You mentioned the Galeota port. We completed phase 1 of the Galeota port. Under your tenure, we were about to do phase 2 of Galeota, and then you know what happened? We lost the election in 2015. So we lost Galeota part 2. So
we have to get it back when you put the UNC in office. We get it back. Thank you.
Good evening to the panel and the opposition leader. Second time around, everybody talking about creativity and diversification and innovation. What I have in my hand here, John Legend, the vinyl album, also Neo, also the next album here, right? This is $1 billion industry, all right? And our point of pure refinery could produce this. It's a byproduct of oil, okay? So when you're opening back the refinery, right? Consider the manufacturing of vinyl and also the product to use.
Brilliant suggestion. Thank you so much.
Also the product to use and
distribute. I was wondering what were those things.
Different countries. And also consider me as somebody who could assist you in that process along with the OWTO and Patriotic. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I just want to remind the persons coming to the floor, you have one question And you have 3 minutes.
Pleasant good night. My name is
Good night, good
Marlene.
night.
My name is Marlene Samru. My topic tonight is unemployment. Unemployment. Unemployment is the most pressing issue facing our society today. One of the many reasons our country are facing such a high crime rate. It is the employment that have our country, our economy down, the unemployment. Unemployment, I would like when this party formed government on the 28th of April 2025, the next government come into power under the stewardship of the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa Senior Counsel, that the issue of unemployment would be addressed urgently. I thank you.
Is that your question? What's your question? You made a statement. Is there a question?
No, the question is, what are we going to do concerning unemployment?
I thought I spoke for... I thought I just want to... It means like I didn't speak clearly or something. Isn't that what I was talking about, guys? So listen. Ms. Samaru, we are going to do something about the jobs. We will create more jobs in various ways. I gave some examples for the East-West Corridor. So thank you for your concern.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Lady K, opposition. My name is Nadina Maraj. Excellent presentations. But over the past few years, we have been economically gaslighted by this government. The realities that we are supposed to be living and that we are being told about is not the same thing. You said we could feel these things. Yes, we can feel it when you were in government as opposed to what we are doing now. We have a government that sits there and a sitting prime minister.
I think you were right the first time, a squatting prime minister.
Who tells...
You were right. She said we have a squatting... I think she's right. Give her a round of applause.
Who tells us that we are living the good life? Who tells us that the Forex problem that we have today started in 2012? I went to the central bank data, and that is not so. It started from 2017, 2018 under this government. The point I am making is, yes, Dr. Surat Singh said that facts is a stubborn thing. It's stubborn, but we have been gaslighted into believing certain things. And our people do not act when the waters are muddy. We need to make sure that when we get back in government, the information that's given to our people is clear, it is accurate, and it's bolted not to the Hansard, not to our manifestos, but to the advocates and the people of this country. And Dave, my brother, you mentioned, one more thing I want to say, you mentioned the Business Confidence Index. We do not have a consumer confidence index in Trinidad and Tobago. It is baffling. Where would the voices of the people be in the economic space if we do not have that? And I want to recommend that as being absolutely important in moving forward. Thank you
very much, Nadina. Thank you, Nadina.
Nadina, if I may, just a quick response. On the 28th of April 2025, consumers and the nation will have an opportunity to indicate. That's where you will get the Consumer Confidence Index.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow citizens. All protocols observed. Let me use the time instead to say UNC and the code is when UNC, that's the spirit, when UNC wins, So I would like to express my deepest thanks to the opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago and the political leader of the UNC, soon to be Prime Minister. Again. and under UNC-led government that has only had the opportunity to serve for a limited period of time compared to the ruling party. We need to fix this, right? No, I today was preparing to speak. It got me thinking, so I'm asking this question. How many years has the PNM been in government compared to the UNC since independence in 1962? Yeah, that's the question. So to very quickly answer it, it's 11 years we would have had a UNC government as compared to the PNM who have been in governance for almost 50 years. So it's like 80% of the time. So what I would just like to contribute a bit on unemployment, yes? So according to David Lammy, he's a British politician, he said unemployment should be treated as potential to be realized, not a problem to be solved. So unemployment in Trinidad and Tobago is at crisis levels, true or false? Yes? And how many of you have experienced unemployment in your lifetime? Yes? I'm sure there are people in here who would have experienced unemployment. And I would just quickly like to state that if we speak to the Minister of Finance versus the man on the street, the Minister of Finance is going to tell us that we have an unemployment rate of 4%, which is approximately 24,600 persons. Right? That converts to, the problem we have is youth unemployment. So how are we going to alleviate that? Now, the anecdotal data from UNC members like myself and others suggest that people are desperately searching for jobs. Now, the SDG goal that this relates to is decent work and economic growth. Yes? So,
I guess the crowd has said its response. But thank you so much for your contribution.
Okay, so as I close, remember, elections will be held in 4 weeks' time. Therefore, I would like to personally encourage you and urge you to choose wisely. Choose leaders who will get things done. As David Allen, he wrote a book by that name, Getting Things Done. To the politicians, I would say go take a read and give it your best shot in implementing. Yeah. Right, so thank you again, leader, for giving us a voice. And we really want to thank the team for organizing. We know that it takes a lot of time, effort, and energy. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This seems like a young, bright man. You have a question for us?
No, I would just like to say that I am very happy with the response of the panel, because today my question was that I would like to know the plans the UNC have to put in place for job opportunities looking forward. Because I know many students pass graduating with full passes, degrees, finish university, and cannot find jobs up to this day. So I'll be very happy and pleased with the opportunities and developments that the panel have placed, and will be going forward with from this day with our new Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Visasa.
Okay, thank you. So panel.
I think I want to re-emphasize what the leader has said. There's a UNC manifesto, but tonight the leader has listed out a series of plans, industries of diversification and transformation, which will affect and create additional new jobs. Just like we did in 2010 to 15, the focus is on job creation, and therefore all of these enterprises and industries we're describing tonight, all of these initiatives, the 12 growth pillars, those will create jobs and treat with some of the unemployment concerns that were raised earlier and just by my colleague there just now as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aman Hussein. I live at Sawa. My concern is high food prices. How will the UNC help us with this?
Thank you for your question.
All right, so agriculture has always been of primary importance to the United National Congress. If you will recall that the United National Congress stemmed from both the labor movement and the agricultural sector as well. There are several plans, including one of the pillars identified, the agro-processing facility that will be developed to ensure that we have a maximum use of situations when we have surplus production. But a series of incentives and initiatives will be introduced which will be targeted towards increasing agricultural production, increasing attention towards the use of existing agricultural lands, improvement in issues like the pre-Jalastny score, etc. So there's a specific segment that will deal particularly with the agricultural sector. I want to assure you that that is an area of short-term, it's an area of, it's a low-hanging fruit. It's a low-hanging fruit because with very small investment, we can reap significant benefits, and it will be one of the focus ideas of the United National Congress.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question.
Hello, good night, everyone. My name is Kevin Bottis. Good night to the panel. Good night to the next Prime Minister.
There you go.
My concern is the skilled sector. So it has a lot of youths out there who have skills and talents. They're not certified. They don't have an outlet or anything to help them out to get certified because it really don't have the programs right now.
Yeah.
Right, so I would like to know what programs could be put in place or how you all could help out that situation.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very happy to answer your question. It is important, I say we're on the economy here, it is related to education. But when we were in office, if you were a carpenter, if you were a mechanic, you were a hairdresser, seamstress, whatever it was, we had set up these centers where you could go in to get certified. Because the thing is, you want a piece of paper that says you're certified. And when you came in, they were called skills assessment centers, I think, on the ministry of, with Mr. Fazal Karim. And you would go in and they will assess you, and if you really showed the skill, we will give you a certificate. If you didn't have it, then we'll take you and train you. So we also had so many programs for training, many programs. I can't remember every single one of them just off the top of my head. We had the MOST, we had, you want to remind me, Dave, of some of those programs under Mr. Karim's ministry. But there were several, and we'll talk it on another day when we're talking more about education, okay? But we do have plans for skills training.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. Up next, just state your name and the area you're from.
Thank you, everyone, UNC family, the sun is rising. My name is Linoy Adams. I'm from the Aruka area. Good night, Honorable Prime Minister Kamala Bissesa. I just want to ask one question and also want to give an advice. But I'll give my advice first. I welcome the trade union movement being involved in the coalition of this party election. I heard from the President General of the trade union movement saying a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. But you, Honorable Prime Minister, to each time you come to your people, you always bring goodies like Santa Claus. I am saying, in return, we should be having something for you. So the word efficiency that is banted in the world today is not a bad word. And I think what we should be offering you to all these goodies that you have been bringing every time is to ensure that when you take your office as Prime Minister officially, we prepare to give you the best in our working conditions and our working spirit. I say that in the sense then that you will be inheriting P&M workers. Let me be frank, they are very lazy. And I'm not making no joke about this. Who have the experience will know that. So we have hard work and plenty work to do to return this country back to how it was in 2010 to 2015. My question is that I would like to know if there are plans that you all are working on from the shadow ministers of all ministries for when they take their positions after the 28th, that they can have immediate implementation of these plans that would take the country to a forward pace. Now, you have been speaking of a lot of the high things, the things then that will generate the economy movement. But the lower strata of people want an immediate jump. And I want to know if these ministers that are shadowing the ministries, if they're having plans in place for immediate startup, regardless what they will be reaching there and will be putting aside. That is my question.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
We do have the first 100 days plan. We have a lot of items on that list, which I'll share with you on another day. It will take me too long to go through that particular list tonight, but we will be sharing it in the public space, so you'll have access. But we do have plans for immediate effect. When I went into, when you made me your Prime Minister in 2010, we had campaigned and promised that we would set up a Children's Life Fund. I don't know if you remember that.
Of course.
And when we went into Cabinet, Cabinet Note number 1 of 2010 was the establishment of the Children's Life Fund, which helped to save so many of our children. So we do have that 100-day plan, and certainly we'll be pushing the ideas out there. Yes, yes, yes to your question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we have two more questions on the two persons already in line.
All right, good night. My name is Chan. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, because in 2015, I came back on a development needs scholarship from the UK, supported by you. I have a BSc in physics with medical physics from the University of Leeds. And when I came back in 2015, it was already difficult to find employment. With that in mind, I decided to go out into the world again to achieve an MSc in the field called photonics at the Friedrich Schiller University in Germany. And since I came back at the end of the pandemic when the restrictions were lifted, I have found it quite difficult to get employment in Trinidad and Tobago. And there is something which is acting as a barrier for someone like me to be employed. So let me just highlight this to you, right? While I was in Germany, I was fortunate enough to work as an intern at one of the most prestigious research institutions in Germany called the Fraunhofer Research Institute. And whilst there, it was understood amongst the intellectuals and academics that to produce the most novel ideas and to have the best results, you need a broad diversity of thought and personality background, right? Since returning home, I have applied to places like Civil Aviation, the Bureau of Standards, and NGC for positions that require something called the National Engineering Technician Diploma, right? I would have exceeded this requirement with my degree, and I believe that this certificate is acting as a filter to filter out people like myself who come from different routes of education, right? And I would like to ask, how can you going forward into the new government protect people like me from being abused by HR, if I may use that word, to become valuable contributors to society? Because we do have things to offer and we are being underutilized. I believe that there is an entire generation of people like me being underutilized and we have nothing to do, yeah?
Sure.
Thank you.
And you said you're being bullied. And you want to know, you said you were being bullied by people in HR and others like that.
Yes, sir.
Wait, let me finish. So you're not
sorry.
can't get a job and so on.
Yeah.
My answer to you is on the 28th, let us remove the bully from government. And we do have plans and programs. I can't give you details right now, but we do have plans. Look, there's 600 doctors as well. Doctors, they have jobs. We talked about the health sector, then we look into yours with the engineering and so on. Or 600 doctors graduate, study for 5-7 years, can't get a job. And I said, what we'll do, we start to get the doctors to go to homes to visit the elderly, blah, 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 blah. We have the plans, all can come out tonight. So I will take into account what you've said, okay?
Thank you.
We have to get you guys working again. We have to get TNT working again.
Yeah, vote UNC.
Good evening to the panel, political leader. My question is to deal with the economy. Our economy is really fueled by oil and gas. Passing through Barbados just 3 weeks ago, they have U.S. currency to the common man on the ground. You could go in a shop, buy with Barbados currency or U.S. currency. Why does it can't work in our economy here with our money? Because it seems like Barbados have a system, I find it is okay, they could go in a shop, buy a sweet drink and buy either in U.S. or in Barbados money.
Where that happen?
Yeah, in Barbados.
I said, where did it happen?
In Barbados.
In Barbados he's paying with Bajan dollars and he's paying in US dollars.
They're going to change, if you take a taxi.
So what is the question about that, please?
How could we bring that kind of system from the good father, if you can explain, that system to Trinidad? Why vehicles so cheaper in Barbados? You can get a Tucson, $80,000, and long as $100 and something, $200 and something $1,000. How we could deal with our economy to bring it like this in Trinidad? Maybe you can explain.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure what is the question. Are you trying to say the vehicles are cheaper in Barbados?
The vehicles are cheaper in Barbados. U.S. money is very easy to get in Barbados.
No, wait, let's get one at a time.
The system...
Are you saying, let's get it right, what we want to answer. Yeah. Are you saying that vehicles are cheaper in Barbados? I will ask Dr. Swat Singh to answer, he's living in Barbados.
Yeah.
No. It's dollar for dollar. 80,000 Barbados is actually about A3 is about 24. So the vehicles are actually more expensive in Barbados. But you're right, you could get US and you could use, they have a good system now. A couple of years ago, it wasn't like that. A couple of years ago, you could have only gotten about 400 or 500 US when you go to the bank if you're traveling and so on. But in Barbados, because there's so much tourism and there's a fixed exchange rate of 2 to 1. But when you go to the banks in Barbados, it's about 198. So it's for people, tourists prefer to trade, to give dollars as they move around because they get 2 to 1 as opposed to 1.98 in the bank.
So there's a kind of black market taking place,
right.
but openly
but
taking
legal.
place. It's legal.
It's legal.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we had said 2 more. I see we have 2 more plus 2 more. So can we will have to, we'll take your questions.
We'll take it too.
Please.
Good night, Honorable Leader, next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you.
All other protocols observed. I have one question for you, Honorable Leader. I know you mentioned you want to do a factory to make steel pans, right? And I observed that, well, we know about the structure on the highway in Trinity, just off Trinity. Now, we don't have a home for steel pan. As such, we don't have a home for steel pan. I think it's the NR government, under the NR government, started that building there to make it the home of steel pan. I'm not sure, I could stand to be corrected.
I remember the code is yellow.
No. I know.
I'm
saying
saying
no. I said that. No, I'm not sure who started. It was built.
What you can be sure is who will finish it.
Thank you. So my question was that if we will be looking at completing it and giving pan a home eventually.
You know, we will certainly have to look into it because if my memory is correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe that Pan Tobago has given that up and to take some other spot and, okay, so it's something we'll have to look into. I think Pan Tobago has, they traded the space for another space and I don't know. So we'll have to, on Rights Road, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader. And one more quick question for Dr. Stuart Singh. We'd like to know if you have any intentions of coming back home. We'd like you here to help us rebuild the economy when we go into government. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So this young lady here will be the last person to ask a question. So we welcome her question, your name and the area you're from.
Okay, my name is Reina Oliveira. I'm from St. Anne's. I've worked in logistics for the past 12 years, and primarily in special projects that work closely with the energy sector. I've seen firsthand how much it has diminished and how much it affected businesses in the industry. You, Mrs. Bisessa, you mentioned a couple points about customs, the port infrastructure, new facilities to the airport, as well as expansion for bonded warehouses. I would love to see something like this actually happen, and I just want to know what is the projected lead time for something like this to happen, as well as how would it affect operating businesses in the industry?
That's a wonderful question. But you really think we have the time to give you all those details?
Yeah. Okay, well, I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you for your question. And Dave, I know you wish to, but it will take us some time to get the details she's seeking, which I don't think we have tonight. So go ahead, Dave.
I think the first issue that you have to focus on is the fact that the commitment came from a party and from a leader that has delivered on their promises, as opposed to what the PNM has done.
Yes.
PNM has already been revealed to have only delivered less than half of what they had promised. There's a time frame for all of these things. And what is supposed to happen when we get into office, firstly, is to expedite the procurement legislation to ensure that the procurement legislation meets the spaces, refills the gaps that the PNM has extracted from it. Once that legislation is put in place, it allows for a proper procedure to be adopted for the actual the tendering and the award of contracts, etc. I think the intention is to fast track each of these proposals, but you are asked for about 4 or 5 separate things. Some of those will be targeted to finish in the first year, which some of them would require legislative change, etc. The amendments to the customs regulations, the bonded warehousing, for example, those things will take longer and longer.
To cut a long story short, ma'am,
ma'am,
we will have timelines. As you see, you asked about 4 different projects I mentioned that we want to get involved. Some will have a short time frame, some will have a medium time frame, and some will have a longer time frame. We also have immediate, within the first 100 days I mentioned. So look, just come out on the 28th and do
I will.
your
I
duty.
most definitely will.
Do your duty and we'll get the job done. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
At this time, we'll close off the questions and answers. we want to say a special thank you to our invited guests and, of course, our list of panelists here. Please give them a round of applause. We want to also thank our leader, the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, for joining us and to giving us her thoughts on many disparate areas of concern for citizens. And most importantly, we want to thank... Oh, go ahead, leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Dominic. I just want to remind you, I'm using this for advertising now. We will be in Sandy Grande on Saturday, where I intend to roll out some more candidates on Saturday in Sandy Grande for some other seats. And where is the venue? Someone remind me. Northeastern College. So those of you who have time, join us on Saturday at Northeastern College. And the usual time. Same time, same UNC. God bless you and thank you very much.
Everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. When UNC wins, everybody wins. When UNC wins, Trinbago wins. Trinbago wins. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, now is the time to rise and shine. Tell your mother, tell your father, now is the time to decide.